What made you lose respect for someone? My son's friend used to spend weekends and nearly his entire summers at our house. One weekend, the boy was staying over with us when he had a terrible toothache. He was crying and just rocking back and forth, writhing in pain. We looked at the tooth and it was completely rotten and broken. Tried to reach the parents, but couldn't get a hold of them. We did the best we could to comfort him. When we took him back home, we told the parents about it and they admitted they had known about it for a while, but they couldn't afford the dentist. In damn near the same breath they proceeded to show us the new flat-screen TV and surround sound they had just bought for $700. The boy continued to suffer in that home, in many ways we didn't even know about until later. For a couple of years, when finally my wife and I called CPS, we were so afraid of making things worse and were pretty certain that they would know exactly who made the complaint and it would jeopardize our being able to give him any reprieve if they cut us off from having contact with him. When we finally made the call, it went exactly as we had feared. The agency wouldn't give us any details of the contact, but the boy's parents cut us off completely. My son saw him at school and that would be the only way we could communicate with him. One night several months later, he showed up at our door. Turns out he ran away. Cops came. He tried to explain the abuse he was having in the home, which at this point we found out had turned into physical beatings, and the cop told him to knock your shit off and get in the police car, and they took him back to the abusive parents. The next morning, the mother came to our house with the boy and told us to keep him. So, we went through a big process and got legal guardianship of him, and ever since he has been in our home. He is treated like our own son. First thing we did was go to a dentist. I'm not one to wish ill on anyone no matter what they've done, but I hope those people burn in hell. Now a former friend of mine is very cheap, like, she won't even throw few pieces of fries away, because she doesn't like to waste food. I really respected that, because I'm not super duper careful with money. She rode her junk bike around, and one day, it broke to the point of no return. I had some bikes around that I sort of fixed, so I sold one of them for $50. It caused some issues, and I tried to fix it, but didn't work out. I obviously felt bad. Eventually, she asked for the money back. I apologized and gave $50. Few days later, I asked for the bike back, so I can fix it and sell it online or something. She said, well, this bike is not worth $50 and it caused so many troubles. I'm not gonna give you the bike back. I said, WTF, that's not how this works. Either give me $50 or the bike. She said, I'll have my mechanic friend to look at it and offer a fair value for this bike. I need the bike, but it's not worth $50. I knew that she's cheap AF, but I didn't know that she's this cheap. At college in London, I had a car and my mate didn't, nor a driving license, so I regularly drove to the other side of the city to pick him up or drop him off. Never once asked for petrol and would have rejected the offer if made. It's a mate, right? One night a group of us were out in town and decided to go watch a film. I called him up, told him to get over and I'd pick up an extra ticket to make sure he could make it. When he arrived, he took the ticket and casually said, "Get the money from Bob. He owes me." I'd spent my last £10 on that ticket. Everyone decided to go to McDonald's. I couldn't afford to eat. Then they decided to go to a bar. I swear he asked me what I wanted to drink. I asked for Coke. He came back holding two. Thinking one was for me, I reached for it and he looked at me and said, "In your dreams," and walked past. Didn't have much to do with him after that. Edit, blimey, didn't expect this reaction. Thanks for rewards and replies. Aftermath was that I withdraw and it was end of year, so most went their own ways. Had some random contact after but kept my distance, didn't go out my way. Stayed polite, but haven't seen him for over 10 years now. No worries. He was a nice enough guy, just seriously tight and materialistic. I had just found out my husband had an affair, and we had separated for a short time. It was mentally and emotionally breaking for me. Obviously, a guy friend of mine I had known forever found out about what happened and texted me to see if I was doing okay. Didn't even wait for an answer. Got a dick pic and wanna make out sometime? From him. It's been 4 years and I can't even look at his profile picture without being furious. My boyfriend threw me a surprise birthday party for my 21st, and invited all my friends, which included one that lived 6 hours away. F21, she ended up coming, but wanted to make the whole night about her. She kept telling everyone I shouldn't drink because I get too messed up, kept complaining about how much she missed her 50-year-old fiancé. She kept including the age in order to also mention how more mature she was, and how it was rude that my BF's roommate didn't offer his room to her because his bed was larger. Even the next day when we got brunch, she kept complaining about how much she missed her fiancé, and that I should just get a box so she can take me home and go home herself. She managed to piss a lot of people off that night, but especially me. We had been friends for about 3 years, but that night really made me look at our so-called friendship in a brand new light. Was at someone's home, and because his son would not stop hanging on him, put him in a sleeper hold till his 13-year-old passed out. The dad did not think anyone saw him do it. I pulled him aside and called him on it. He did not think it was that big of a deal. I called out to my wife, said I can no longer associate with him, and we left. I explained to her what he did. Later the wife called asking WTF. I asked if she knew what he had been doing. He is now divorced and not allowed near his 3 sons. I hate this because the oldest son has made school life difficult for my oldest son. Ugh. I work at a grocery store for barely more than minimum wage. One of my coworkers came through my line with a full basket and started berating one of our newer employees, who was sacking her groceries. She was acting just like any other customer that makes our days worse than they need to be. I lost a lot of respect for her. When my ex-friend got pregnant shortly after we graduated high school, she invited me to a party, and when I got there she was so drunk I almost lost my shit. I remember telling her, I can't believe you're drinking while you're pregnant. What the actual fuck is wrong with you, before I turned around and left. They were a complete jerk at a poker game. Small group of friends trying to have a good time and newbie poker players willing to give it a try. One guy just has to show off and act like he's a poker player, condescending, talking trash, tipping people like it's a real game. It was a $25 buy-in, bruh. I'm talking to you, Jim. Robbing $25K out of her terminally ill ex-husband's bank account before a divorce, then getting her son to assault him so that she could claim self-defense and sue him when he fought back. No, he didn't win the case or get a dime of his money back. Worst part is, before the divorce he had already given her $25K and paid her way through college, which she immediately dropped out of, because he wanted to make sure she was taken care of. Dumb bitch spent the money on drugs and it was gone in than a month. After years of helping my sister with her bills, $150 car insurance, $120 phone bills, buying tires for her car, help paying to get it out after she had it repossessed. That happened 3 times, and countless money on baby food, milk, diapers, car seats for her son, spending every day I had off work babysitting her son. I mean thousands of dollars. She couldn't drive me to work one time after my car broke down. It wasn't missing work that mattered, the way she reacted when I asked why would I do that if I can sleep in tomorrow, you're lucky I'm picking you up now, I could just let you sit out here. It was very disappointing, but I learned that no matter how much you do for people it doesn't matter, so I spend my time and money on myself now, and no one expects things from me now or even asked. I feel a lot less stressed. When a member of the team I supervise ranted about my leadership to me while I was actively trying to support them in dealing with a difficult client and then said, "I guess I should just chalk it up to your age." I reminded her that I was her boss, and that if she had the gall to say that to her supervisor, could I trust what she was saying to clients and colleagues? That seemed to get my point across. I will continue to treat her equitably and professionally through the end of her contract, but I no longer respect her. He broke up with his girlfriend, then proceeded to hit her a few times, knocked her phone out of her hand, throw her through a glass cabinet, and beat her unconscious while she lay in broken glass screaming for him to stop. He walked into the police station with her blood drying on his hands, saying he thought he killed her. It being his first offense plus his family's high-priced lawyer resulted in him being sentenced to only 1 year of probation and a restraining order. During that year, he violated the restraining order multiple times, assaulted his ex-GF twice, choking her unconscious once, and raped her once. There were no legal consequences for these actions. So I had recently joined college and we were in college auditorium listening to the faculties and different departments run by them. It was time for head of college's anti-sexual harassment committee. The head was going on about the basic laws and regulations and the actions taken by institute. At the end she says, "Girls, if anything happens, don't come to me and resolve it at your level." Damn, every student lost respect for her. My closest friend back then, she slept around a lot. That wasn't a problem until she went behind my back to sleep with the guys she knew I had a crush on. She even went as far as finding a guy I met on a dating app, flirting with him and sleeping with him the night before I was supposed to go on a date with him. When I confronted her about it, she admitted she's seen me as competition when it came to men and dating. I about everything to get attention, and the funniest thing is that they were an awful liar. He changed up his lies all the time and thought I was dumb enough to believe it. He complained about the problems he was causing himself and acting like the victim and refused to fix his shit. I blocked him on all social media including his phone number. Kid and Girl Scouts during the cookie season almost 20 years ago now. My troop did rather well selling cookies and we were supposed to get different prizes for reaching various numbers of boxes sold. Once all the money and checks were collected, my troop leader took it all for herself, a bit more than $5,000, and vanished. No one got any of their cookies or prizes. She was discovered some time later at an electronics store and arrested. When it came out that a friend was cheating on his disabled and housebound wife, she managed the finances and got the AskPass, electronic tolling system, bill that showed he was in the wrong state when he was said he was at work. When confronted, he denied it until she pulled out the phone bill with his texts and calls to a number in general area of where the AskPass was getting billed. He then divorced her and tried to screw her out of her share of his Navy pension and insurance. They were married for longer than his time in the service, 25 years, and was she legally entitled to half of it, he went out of his way to hurt her. She died less than a year later in a nursing home while he was moving in with a completely different woman than the one he originally cheated on the wife with. Real classy guy. Showed up to the first wife's funeral with number 2. He also claimed to go out whaling while in the Navy. He and his fellow sailors would apparently search out and bed the largest lady they could while on shore leave. The winner took home the biggest and got bragging rights till the next round of leave. When he started to treat me like crap, made me think that no one else would love me, and took advantage of my low self-esteem to make me do things I didn't want to do, but he knew I was too scared to leave. I just wanted someone to love me. Finally I realized I'm a lot stronger than I thought and worthy of being loved, and I dumped his ass. I packed my shit up in one day and left, never looked back. Bailed last minute on our student house for second year. One of the other guys, B already had, and he, oh, knew it, but waited till after half of us had paid the holding fees. Not a lot of money, about £20 each, but that isn't the point. O had genuine reason to do so, but the way he went about it was just a massive fuck you to all of us, and it took him weeks before he actually explained the reason to us. B immediately covered half the holding fee we'd each paid, having spoken to O and them agreeing to pay us, without any mention of either of them needing to do so, and apologized, and got us around that evening. Never heard anything close to an actual apology from O, and B ended up trying to cover O's half. We all refused point blank, cause we hadn't seen a penny from him. A few weeks later O was drunk and in a bad mood and me and him got into an argument. He dragged one of our other friends, a very nice girl that always went out of her way to help you out, into it, and started being incredibly harsh to her, and venting a load of shit at her. Being a dick to me was fine, I'd earned it, but saying shit to her was totally unnecessary, and a cunt move. In the end, very glad we weren't stuck living with O for a year. Miserable little prick, always blamed others for not being happy and twisted everything to make us the bad guys, and called us all pathetic idiots for actually enjoying our time at uni, just because he wasn't. Edit, I know his behavior was a sign of him having shit going on, and I won't go into details, but we really did do our best to support him. But we each had a limit to how many times he would throw it back in our faces, before we gave up trying. This was a Dark Heresy 2nd edition campaign on Roll20. First game session, he ends up killing 2 of the players because they wouldn't obey him. Game turned really awkward and I ended up having his character killed off because the Inquisitor didn't trust him. He didn't really have a justification other than it's what my character would do, to which I replied, well, I guess my character would kill you for this since you can't be trusted and are unstable. Having learned from doing games for over 10 years, you don't remove agency from other players. That's just a dick move. My friend got blackout drunk and swung on my other friend's GF, missed, then shoved her down. Her boyfriend then choke slammed my drunk buddy into a hot tub. I let him choke the guy for a few seconds before pulling him off. All this started because my drunk friend accused my buddy's girl of hating his dog because it was sick and she put a blanket on it. They were all roommates, and after that incident, they told me he had also gotten incredibly drunk a few nights ago, and pointed his AR-15 at another friend hanging out at the house as a joke. We sat him down the next day and told him that we loved him but he had to move out. Haven't spoken to him since. Ordering me around like a slave or try to act in charge but sit on their ass the whole time and not help. Had the props guy when I worked stage for my school do that and then get mad when I got fed up, and so I started to comply maliciously with every request. Get me a drill. Okay, here is the drill sans battery and drill bit. Yes, my actual manager heard the resulting exchange and said that I shouldn't have done that, but that he understood why I did. Edit, I was the one maliciously compliant. I wrote this after approximately 25 hours of being awake. Several years ago, me and a group of friends went to this anime con. At some point, we decide to go watch the cosplay contest. We all get seats and I am next to the couple in our group, both of whom I was friends with. One of the contestants was a girl in a beautiful Princess Minimoon cosplay. Admittedly though, the girl was kinda heavy-set, though I didn't think it detracted from the cosplay. They thought otherwise. The entire time she was on stage, the two of them went on and on about how awful she was, how fat she was, how she didn't deserve to be there. It got annoying really quick. Well, it was about to go from annoying to insufferable, because Minimoon ends up getting first in her category. I was happy for her, but I couldn't celebrate for long because by God did it set the two of them off. For the rest of the convention, any chance they could they would talk shit about the Minimoon and how stupid THR judging was. And, no, not once did they bring up the craftsmanship of the cosplay, only her size. It took some time, but I've since distanced myself from the two of them. Edit. Thanks for the awards. Friend in collage who we all knew was headed down the incel path. He struggled with girls and was an all-around awkward guy, but nonetheless respectful and a nice guy. We bonded over video games. First warning, which should have been the last, is when I discovered he and two other guys had been blackmailing another friend of mine. They had stole her phone, broken into it and stolen her nudes. Now they were demanding she give them more or they would publish them. I got them caught, and this guy personally apologized to me, and said his hand was forced and that he felt terrible. Couple of years later, a massive leak of my town's girls' nudes were published and shared through Omega. This asshole downloaded it, and after the Mega was taken down and the culprit caught, he had been sending it and selling it again. A bunch of friends and I later discovered he keeps a couple of external drives filled to the brim with revenge and amateur porn, most of it from girls we know. Last straw came when he waited until a fellow friend was asleep to break into his cell phone and steal his GF's nudes. After that we put our boundaries and left him alone. Now it turns out my friends have been inviting him again to parties, and when I refuse to go because he's gonna be there, I'm pissy and an asshole. Fuck this guy. I hope he stays single forever. You deserve it. You incel fuck.